Hello, and welcome to another Nimble video tutorial. So last night I was up late doing a little testing and tweaking to the Nimble platform. And just with a few minor tweaks, I have a lot of pretty cool things to show you. But first, I want to do a little fact check or, a little look back at some of the promises that I've made to make sure that I am being kept honest. First thing I want to talk about is the Nimble.js core runtime. On my website, I think at the time I posted it, the current runtime was approximately 357K. And I said in the future, with enhancements and the things that I had planned, I should expect to see a decrease in the runtime size. That was a point I wanted to make, because if you make note of current JavaScript frameworks, with each iteration, each version they release, the runtime seems to get larger and in some cases unbearable. So if I do a quick check, the Nimble.js core runtime now has a slight modification to the CI/CD process to combine it in a one.js file, and it's sitting at 349K. Definitely decreasing as I add enhancements. The with operator will definitely should definitely help us see even more of a decrease in the core runtime. And if you aren't aware, the core runtime is really the power behind everything you see. The IDE is features and functionality, but the sliding, the moving, and the maintaining of a Windows state, multi-instancing, all of that is working because of the backend runtime that I've created. One of the things I took the time to do is to look at and improve the resize lifecycle. With any dialog window that you have within the Nimble platform, I made sure that the runtime lifecycle was clean. To resize a window, you mouse down is the first event. It has a state constant. As you resize the window, you're in zero state constant, and when you let up mouse up, the gesture is over. And just being able to make sure you track the life cycle of gestures is paramount to making sure you have a good platform. I also promised, I believe a few years ago, that whenever I add a feature in Nimble, I like to make sure I have the ability to disable it. Nimble has a lot of course, sliding and moving and animation going on within the DOM. And I understand that some developers may not like that stuff. So I have a global variable to take care of that. This global variable suppress sliding. When you set it to true, it directly affects the running of the runtime itself, and everything stops animating. So your dialogues will move into their final position instantly, but it will not slide, animate, anything. Just wanted to make sure I kept my promises, and I show you that I'm keeping my promises about how I design code. Like I said, I follow the solid design principles for accuracy and stability, but just for integrity, my own integrity as a developer, I like to keep my promises. One thing you may notice, since I had this editor open, I've enabled the linting capability within the CodeMirror editor. And most of the features I've added to Nimble, or the things I've been debuting in these videos, have to do with the features of the IDE and functionality. But this has to do with the code itself. The editor now has the ability to spot check for syntax issues while you type. It's an 800 millisecond delay between the checking, and it does take place asynchronously. I enabled it, and I was hesitant, and I made this the last feature that I enabled because I didn't want it to affect performance. But because it had asynchronous checking, it works really well. It will find warnings, but most importantly, it even finds some of my little the way I code and optimization using ternary operators is not best practices. So maybe I will go back and clean that up and make it an if statement. But it's just the use of a ternary operator that the parser doesn't like, or it's not standard JS. I did spend some time inside the JSLint library for CodeMirror because Nimble is a multi-instance editor, and there's a lot of Z ordering that takes place, controlling the Z order of a dialog. So these tooltips weren't necessarily displaying properly in such a advanced environment. So I made sure that the library understood what Z order these tooltips should appear, and they really come out nicely when enabled. So as you can see, it's finding all of my little typos of missing semicolons in the code, and I will be going through all of my code and cleaning that stuff up this weekend, right along with working on PhoneGap. Once I had this editor and the linting enabled, I decided that I would take the time to clean up any code and really review the code for syntax and little typo related issues for standardization. I have a wide variety of libraries, algorithms that have to do with real-time processing, blockchain, and of course Nimble itself. I decided to build projects to support that, and currently what you're looking at is all of my SDK factories that are used to build this IDE itself. I've made a separate Nimble factory based project so that I can maintain and edit these files. I took the CI/CD application and I let it monitor these files for changes. And as you can see, as I saved that file down, it was notifying me that the file had changed, and it's time for me I can push those updates to all my projects if I want to keep them. Just important to show you that how using Nimble and I'm able to improve Nimble to this point, it's improving my productivity and now going to allow me to organize code and organize a series of projects. If I let you see my Nimble project folder, you'll see this is the CI/CD project that's running now. The Common Dialogue project is the one that has Nimble Drive. The factories base is a series of base algorithms and code that I'm going to be improving on and will probably be used to build future projects. The SDK project, that's what you're looking at now, and what you're witnessing is the start of Nimble version 6. Version 6 will be the milestone and the proof that Nimble version 5 is a rockstar editor to be able to compile a new JavaScript Electron application of this size and this complexity using the same algorithms in version 5 means that the algorithms have been converted accurately from version 4. That's my goal, my end goal. Once I can compile a application of this size, I'm pretty sure everything's good. I got an email from a colleague who asked me about the pros and cons of Nimble. I'm going to start with the cons since the list was shorter. The one con against Nimble, or the thing that Nimble may not suit your needs, is if you're trying to build a standard web application. Nimble is designed for single page applications and progressive web apps, not a standard flowing, long, scrolling web document. It's for single page applications that emulate desktop applications. On the pros of Nimble, I was able to come up with a bunch of them. I designed Nimble for speed, power, and to be a full stack UI editor. You have the ability to look at and test and mock full Node.js APIs, test them against a UI, all within the same platform in a matter of minutes. It allows you to take snapshots of REST services and results from web services so that you can see a layout of dependencies and how a contract is built. That snapshot can be saved historically so that you see how an API has evolved over time. Nimble is a low-code editor, and it produces accurate results consistently. To me, that's the most compelling feature. Nimble is code building code. Of course, you're still responsible for the core pieces of your application, but you have less to worry about knowing that the app will link together, events will fire when they should, and you have enough checking in syntax and editor behind you so that you can consistently build great apps. Nimble supports maximum code reuse. It supports web components, factories, and the ability to reuse as much of what you design in future projects. One of the most important differences between Nimble and other JavaScript frameworks is that Nimble is a true project managed design. I have abstracted your properties and the things that are specific to your company or the application you're trying to build from the framework itself. It uses an idea of build targets. After you have created an application within Nimble IDE, when you click build, I can build and target the Nimble.js, or in theory, I could build and target jQuery. It still it won't detract from the fact that you have a full, well-outlined project prototyped in this IDE. All of this is brought and came about because of solid design principles. The extension and Liskov substitution principle is one of the reasons why I can pull out and exchange functionality or extend functionality so easily within this platform. As promised, it uses the builder design pattern, which allows a single developer to create more with less time, less care about the types of mistakes in connecting pieces. It does a lot of that stuff for you behind the scenes, and that's what makes it a great platform. So like I said, that's probably about 10 minutes of talking for a few edits that I did last night. I hope you were impressed with the ESLinting and the project building and multi-editor interface. This weekend is a long weekend. I have a vacation weekend, so I'm going to be working on the PhoneGap build, and hopefully I'll have something to show next week. Nimble.js, Nimble IDE version 5. Thank you for watching.